welcome to another episode of Just Another Evan Podcast. I am your host. I'm the JFB, of course. There's no further introduction. I'm the JFB, James from Boston.
Welcome to a fall back episode of Just Another Evan Podcast. I'm Canada Dry, damn it, and that's all I need to say.
Woo, man. So we are coming hot and heavy. Want to welcome everybody on the Twitterverse and everybody on YouTube, all our subscribers. Welcome. If you have comments, go right ahead and comment. Talk to us and let us know. So this week, we have decided to not go with our traditional lists or to have a amazing superstar.
List. We don't need no stupid list.
We don't need no list, but we also don't have a guest either. There's a lot that has happened within the world of wrestling in the last 2 weeks, and so last week today is the name of this episode. We are going to talk about some of the big.
Where's the banner? We don't have no banner this week.
Oh yeah, you want a banner? I get you a banner.
Because of John Oliver sort of thing going on here.
There we go. Last week's tonight.
John Oliver. Right? I was reading online that Ahmed Johnson was on some sort of podcast or something.
Yeah,
and they were asking him if he would come back to wrestling, AEW or WWE. He's like, "No, I'm too old now." But he did tell an Owen Hart story. How Owen Hart got him good.
Oh, you got to tell the story because we the two of us love Owen Hart ribs more than anything else in the world.
Yeah. So it was WrestleMania day.
Yeah.
And I guess Owen Hart has a really good Jay Leno impression, I guess. And he phones up Ahmed Johnson, pretending he's Jay Leno.
Oh.
And I guess he's like, "Yeah, we really want you on the show. We want to get you on the show. Just make sure you have a nice suit to come on the show." And Ahmed Johnson goes out and buys himself a brand new suit to go on the Jay Leno show. And he comes. He comes out of the wherever he is, and Bret Hart comes out. He just starts laughing his ass off at Ahmed Johnson, and Ahmed Johnson is like, what are you laughing at? And Owen and Davey are in the bushes watching this, and they just start cracking up, and I guess they ran, and Ahmed Johnson is chasing them, and they got him good, and they made him buy a suit.
Wow. We know that Owen is the ultimate trickster. That is absolutely hilarious that he got Ahmed
Davey
Johnson.
Boy's right there, right behind him, 1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh, Owen Hart, man. It is a shame that he is no longer with us because I feel as he gets older, the pranks would have gone more elaborate and more amazing for sure. So let's get to the gist. We normally just open our podcast with the news. Today, it is the news.
Lots to talk about, damn it.
Lots to talk about. First things first, Ring of Honor. Now, everybody has talked ad nauseum about this. We're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time. So basically, Sinclair Broadcasting has decided to shutter its operations after their December pay-per-view Final Battle. They are projected to resume operations sometime in March, April, maybe May. All wrestlers that are contracted through 2021 will be paid, but they are released. They are not under contract, but will be paid through December. And for those who are contracts end in 2022, they are also released beginning in the first of the year, and they will be paid through their 2022 contracts.
So they're going to start absolutely from scratch.
I have a feeling what's going to happen is they're going to run it like an independent show. I think the days of having long-term contracts are gone for Ring of Honor. I think they're going to just be an independent wrestling promotion where they need some way to fill a card. They'll call up Warhorse, or they'll call up Danhausen, or they'll call up Natalia Markova and say, hey, we have we have a show, we have a TV tapings, whatever. Why don't you come on down and we'll go ahead and put you in.
Is that how GCW operates, kind of?
In a way, yeah. I mean, GCW doesn't have a weekly show like everybody else does. They have a monthly show that they do. So I think that's what I think.
They don't have contracts.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, I think we're not going to see Ring of Honor as we see it. I mean, that's just my guess. At this point, it's really speculation. A lot of people have pointed to Sinclair. The third quarter came out, and they had a debt of $12.8 million. And a lot of people assume that was Ring of Honor, and it actually wasn't. That's they are planning on doing a sports streaming service, and that's where that loss is coming from. I've heard news that
could it be that they sell the rights to the name Ring of Honor and the library?
I don't think they're going to. The library is huge.
If you're looking to recoup some of that money for your sports streaming endeavor, you sell that Ring of Honor name and that Ring of Honor library.
Yeah,
it's a good way to get some of that debt back.
That is true. But keep in mind too that when they start this streaming service, it's going to generate money. People, if they have exclusive stuff, especially if Ring of Honor is part of that exclusivity, they are going to have a revenue coming through, a revenue stream. So I think it's too early for us to really speculate what's going to happen. Everybody is released.
Traded?
What's that?
Are they publicly traded?
No, Sinclair is, yes.
So yeah, I'm saying, do they have to figure this out, how to balance the books properly?
They're going to figure it out. Here's the thing. You have a lot of big names that are now free agents, specifically guys like Dragon Lee. One of my favorite Ring of Honor wrestlers is Dalton Castle, Jay Lethal. You have Danhausen now, who just recently signed and is now a free agent. Rush, Bandito. I mean, you have a lot of guys that are up for grabs, and I think this changes the landscape of indie wrestling and
I hate to fast forward this a little bit, but could WWE's release of all their talent be related to signing some of these guys?
It could be. I mean, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE went after some of these guys, but again, a lot of these guys are so ingrained with the history, especially guys like Jay Lethal, Dalton Castle. I mean, I
don't see WWE signing Jay Lethal at all.
Yeah, I don't see it. Impact might, because he's got history with Impact. So Black Machismo might be coming back to Impact, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I'm a huge Lethal mark.
But you got to wonder, AEW needs to cater to the black market a bit.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
So you could see Jay Lethal coming to AEW for that reason.
That could be that very well could happen, and it wouldn't surprise me in the least. Number 2, The Rock has come out.
You smell what The Rock is cooking.
Well, I know what he's cooking, and that is no real guns on any of his movie sets, any sets that he's on as an actor or as a producer. If you haven't read the news, I'm sure everybody has. It was a very bad accident on a film set called Rust, with Alec Baldwin as a producer, and the director of photography, and the director was injured, but the director of photography was killed while filming this movie. As a person,
so what happened? You got a real gun by mistake, or what?
Well, here's the thing: when it comes to a film set, you have an armorer, and the armorer is in charge of any and all weapons, whether they be fake guns, real guns with blanks, real guns with real bullets. They're in charge of it. The first AD, which is something I've done in the past, is responsible for setting the day up. And on your call sheets, you write there's going to be guns on set. And then when you're handing the gun over to the actor, you're supposed to say if it's a hot gun or a cold gun. If it's cold, that means it has no bullets in it. If it's a hot gun, that means it's got live rounds. The first AD, who's had issues in the past with safety on film sets, handed Alec Baldwin the gun and told Alec Baldwin the gun was cold. Alec Baldwin shot it, and it killed that girl. It killed the director of photography. I think you're going to see a lot of change in safety on film sets. I applaud The Rock for going out there and making sure that they don't kill people on a film set. You know.
Now, random question: have you been involved in a Rock movie at all, or a Rock TV show, or anything?
Oh no, I wish, but no. Alas, no. Some reason The Rock and the JFB have not connected per se on the film set, but you never know.
Because if you do, you got to prop them to get on the show.
Oh yeah, of course. Hey, Rock, by the way, you know, I know we're off on Sundays, but how'd you like to do a little podcast with the JFB?
Or how, even if we have to do it on set?
We're accommodating. We accomodate everybody that comes on our show,
especially The Rock.
Yeah, especially The Rock. We'll make the accommodations for The Rock.
We'll squeeze you in.
Yeah, we'll fit you in. We can fit you in between the 1 and 3 hours. You know, between 1 and 3 p.m. we can fit you in. So John Moxley has gone into inpatient alcohol rehab, and this was reported by Tony Khan. Before any of the dirt sheets got a hold of it, Tony Khan posted on Twitter that he's entered it. We wish the best for John. Alcoholism is a horrible, horrible, horrible disease. It's good that he's taken the time to go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
What's disturbing out of all this is a lot of the people on the Twitterverse, the keyboard warriors,
wrestling fans, is ridiculous.
Yes. If he was with WWE, this wouldn't have been a problem, or WWE would have fixed this ahead of time.
Or he didn't have a drinking problem when he was with WWE.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
AEW drove him to drink.
Yeah.
If anything, he got the drinking problem in WWE and
absolutely
kept it going.
The birth of his child that drove him to drink. You know, here's the thing. You know, we don't know about AEW's inner workings. We don't know if they have a wellness program. We assume that they do, but you know, we don't know. You know, we know that WWE has one.
Let's talk about WWE's wellness program because it's a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a hypocrisy. It's there because they had problems, and it's just a bit of a masking tape, right? There's so many things that the wrestlers could use.
Yeah.
And yet you're suspending someone for smoking a bit of weed when someone else is abusing pills.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a joke. I mean, it is. And, you know, obviously they're doing it because they have to. You know, when you're dealing with a public traded company, there's lawsuits abound. You know, we talked extensively with Buff Bagwell last week, and he talked about the wellness program really not being what it is. You know, and again, it's just it's tape that goes over a leaking dam. You know, eventually that tape's going to fall off.
You have people that magically this person didn't get tested. I don't know how.
Yeah.
And then you got some lower card guys failing the test.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
The top card guy that you know he's using.
Yeah.
Somehow Brock Lesnar doesn't get tested.
Yeah, of course not. But, you know, the only thing we could do is we can wish John Moxley, he's going to be gone for 30 days. You know, not only do we wish, not only are we glad that he gets the help, hopefully he takes away from the inpatient program and is able to use this stuff to continue not being or abusing alcohol. It was actually really nice that CM Punk came out and said, you know, you guys should be rooting and chanting his name, not my name.
I am so proud of because you know what I do for a living. I work at a alcohol and a drug recovery place.
Yeah.
And seeing him step out and, Tony Khan, getting ahead of the game before anyone does it. So proud of him.
Yeah.
And even in his promos while he was in that tournament were about his kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's doing this for his kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to be around to see that kid grow up. You don't want to go ahead and get yourself in a position where you make stupid mistakes, and I think that's where Mox was at. I think he felt like he was going to start making stupid mistakes. They moved out of Vegas and have moved to the Midwest, apparently. So hopefully that will help them and help him stay clean and be able to really, connect and get back to sober living per se. So our next one, Eddie Kingston and the Blade, both have come out about their battles with depression and anxiety. And to be honest with you, I've talked about it before on our podcast about my battles with depression. I'm lucky because I have health care. I have health insurance. So I'm afforded the ability to talk to a therapist. I have a psychiatrist that does my medications. It's dialed in. I have a close network of friends and family that I can turn to and talk to about what I'm going through. When you're dealing with wrestlers, they're not unionized. And so they don't have, you have to buy your own health insurance, and a lot of these guys don't, because they got bills to pay and stuff like that. But it's good that they can come out and show this human side of them, and especially for guys like Eddie Kingston, and especially guys like the Blade, who, you think, oh, they got it made. They're wrestling in front of live audiences. They're making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It's not always like that. I mean, I can't tell you. Go ahead.
Wrestling's been around big since the 80s.
Yeah.
But it's been around, but it's been big since the 80s.
Yeah. And
not once have we had someone come out and talk about depression.
Yeah.
And how many people have battled with it secretly? How many people did it kill?
Oh, it kills millions.
In wrestling, I'm talking like.
Oh, yeah. Hundreds of thousands.
So this does two things. It encourages wrestlers to speak up.
Yeah.
And give them the opportunity, like I'm battling this,
Yeah.
And, you don't have to hide. You don't have to be in shame or anything like that. Yeah. You're human, and it brings it to the forefront and humanizes it.
Yeah.
And the second thing it does is the fans watching.
Yeah.
You see your heroes on TV saying, I'm just like you.
Yeah.
I battle with this, and sometimes I'm losing. And you know what? You're normal. You can beat this too. So props to the Blade and Eddie Kingston for coming out and admitting their problems with depression.
Yeah. I mean, it humanizes them, and it makes you realize that, you look at guys like Robin Williams and famous people who have seem okay. And seem like they have their life together, and then they take their lives, and you don't understand, and unless you're dealing with depression, or unless you have someone in your life who,
Rick Rippon of the Vancouver Canucks, he ended his life due to depression. Millions of dollars left on the table, and he had it all, but money does not equate happiness.
Absolutely.
My best friend in high school, he, I think probably 3 years ago around this time, ended his life, and he had a beautiful wife. He had a house that he owned here in Vancouver. It's a lot of money to own a house.
Yeah.
And, he ended his life and just never spoke up and battled this depression alone.
Yeah.
So, guys, reach out to James or myself on Twitter or even YouTube.
Yeah.
We'll get in touch with you wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this. If you're battling with depression, I know James is a big proponent of this, and so am I. But if you're battling with depression and you're just having a hard time, reach out and we'll be there for you.
Yeah, there's a few people who have my phone number, and they know very well I'm a call and a text away. And to be honest with you, if it's really that bad, I'll make the effort to come out and hang out with you and we battle this together, because it's not worth, putting your friends and your family through, because there are times when I've been in a room of 100 people and felt like I was the only one there.
Yeah.
You're lonely, even though you're surrounded by friends and family. You're at your lowest. It sucks. It really does. And it's a struggle, and you struggle with it every single day. But yeah, I mean, find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter, find me on YouTube, Facebook message me, and we'll sit and talk. I'll give you my cell phone number, and we can go ahead and sit and talk and try to work this out.
Yeah, and we'll get you in touch with somebody in your area who can help you.
Absolutely, yeah. There, you don't even have to worry about going to see a therapist. You could do online therapy for relatively cheap. It's not super expensive. I mean, all my psychiatrists and my therapists are all telehealth, and it avoids me having to go out.
And I think
in the plague.
Breaking away from wrestling a bit, I think this is it's a nice important message that we can deliver here.
Yeah.
Before moving on, I think it's important to say this.
Yeah, absolutely. So reach out to either me or Canada Dry, and just know you're not alone. You're not fighting this alone. I think there are times when the voice in your head tells you are. Trust me, you're not. I know where you are, and I know where you've been, and I can give you an ear to a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen to, and we can make things better. So moving on, Vince McMahon has now this is through the dirt sheet, so I'm not sure how 100% this is, but apparently, if you're going to be female talent, he doesn't want to sign anybody over the age of 25. So
we heard this before.
Yes.
But it's coming out even stronger now.
Yeah, it's coming out even stronger now, which, he wants a youth movement. I get it. But there are some talented, and I'm going to use one example. Mickie James, who's in, I don't know how old she is, late 30s, early 40s. That is doing it better than most of the women in WWE. And she's had her runs in WWE, but she is killing it in NWA. She's killing it now in Impact.
And we know that Natalia Markova had 2 tryouts with WWE.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you almost got to wonder if the reason she wasn't signed because she's over the age of 25, and that was probably the reason they didn't sign her. Yeah.
I mean, this is a mandate coming from Vince, and obviously it's being enforced by Bruce Pritchard and Terry Taylor and the rest of the Goon Squad that work for WWE's creative. But yeah, I mean, that's, you have some remarkable women that are over the age of 25 that are just killing it. And it's hilarious because they released, which we'll get to shortly, they released 3 wrestlers that are under the age of 25.
You know what this does? It decreases how good women's wrestling can be.
Oh, yeah.
Because after the age of 25, you're hitting your prime.
Yeah.
They're not as good as they can be. I hate to do it, but I love to do it at the same time. Natalia Markova, she's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
She's at her top right now, and she's red hot. And you can see just every little move that she makes. She's picked it up over the last 5-6 years of her career.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you know, that ageism should never be a part of wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's such a double standard, right? Because you know that the WWE is not going to be wanting a male who's 25 because he's not quite there yet.
Yeah. I mean, you look at guys like AJ Styles, who is in his mid 40s and can very well wrestle for another 10 years without dropping a beat. You know, Randy Orton is in his early 40s. You know, you have guys who are up there in age, and, you know, as long as they were not fully injured, you know, or had horrible injuries throughout their career that might curtail them in the later years, they're contributing as much, if not more, than what the young talent that you see on NXT.
Yeah, what this does for me is it just reinforces that the WWE is still in the Stone Age.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
you know, let talent be talent, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. You know, WWE and women's wrestling is not a good mix. Yeah. Unless you're Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, or Bailey. You know, the likelihood is maybe Bianca Belair is in that group now, but you're just not going to get the rub. You're not going to get the push, you know, and that's a shame. And that's, I mean, it's the credo for, it's the credo for WWE. Women's wrestling is a sideshow to them, with the exception of a few wrestlers. So next thing on the list is Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly's contract is up at the end of December. Who would love to see Kyle O'Reilly go to AEW, reunite with Bobby Fish, Adam Cole, and recreate Undisputed Era, and watch Adam Cole turn on the Super Elite? I would.
That would be cool.
I think Kyle O'Reilly is an amazing talent.
That would be cool. Who else is in the mix to sign O'Reilly? Could he stay with WWE?
I mean, he could technically stay. They the word that I heard was that they are in the middle of contract negotiations with him. I would love to see him go back to New Japan with Bobby Fish as Red Dragon, and form that tag team. But Bobby Fish, again, he's old. He's an older wrestler. He's in his mid-40s, but he's had a lot of injuries, and so you don't know how much more that motor can go.
I think Bobby Fish has got 5-6 years left in him, maybe.
Yeah, and Kyle O'Reilly, I mean, he's in his early to mid 30s. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Kyle O'Reilly.
Who's the fourth member of Undisputed?
Was
the other guy.
I totally forgot. I just had a brain fart. It was on my mind. He was in Ring of Honor. Damn it.
Damn it.
It's not damn it, but yeah, I mean, he's wrestling now with Diamond Mine, and I mean, honestly, he could be very well released from his contract relatively soon.
Yeah.
Roderick Strong. That's
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see them go to AEW and form a really unique faction together, because they wrestled together for 2.5.
We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
The problem with that is AEW's roster is getting so bloated.
Yes.
We'll be talking about that.
We're going to talk about that. So speaking of WWE, there's a lot of news that came out this week about the old World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated, LLC, PLLC, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to start with the good news.
So hold on. Let me ask you quickly. You own stock in WWE?
Yes.
So how did this affect the stock? Did this bring it up or down?
It went up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it went up. Not much, but it did go up.
Okay.
So third quarter revenue was.
So why is that though?
Well, this is the reason why. Third quarter revenue was $256 million, up 15% from last year's third quarter. So they generated revenue of almost $300 million in revenue from live events, from merchandise, from overseas stuff. So it was a huge.
Let me ask you this. If you're releasing these people, that means less pay going out.
Yep.
And more pay going to more owners like you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to go up for that reason.
Yep. Absolutely. That's how the world works. It's a sucky world, but by God, as Jack Donaghy from 30 Rock always says, capitalism is the best ism that there is. But despite these despite a 15% increase over year to year, they did release some big names in the front office. We're not even going to talk about talent just yet. We're going to talk about front office. Stan Stansky. He was the senior vice president of creative.
Stan Stansky. Oh, I love that guy.
I had his rookie card. I've had his rookie card. Stansky. He is the senior vice president of creative services. He has worked for them for 15 years. He was in charge of the ideation, development, and execution of the global marketing, television properties, streaming services, sales, consumer products, live event, and creative branding initiatives for WWE. It was also said that from someone in WWE to one of the dirt sheets, if Stan Stansky can be fired, no one's job is safe.
Wow.
And you're talking about a guy for 15 years.
Wow. He did it all. Look at that stuff he needed to do for.
Yeah. And, it's those guys. And again, I guarantee you, it had nothing to do with his performance. It had everything to do with how much he was probably being paid, and when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars at a yearly
you can
salary,
consolidate his job by dishing it out amongst many people, right? You're also doing this. You're also doing this as well.
Yeah. You can take that job, separate it amongst 5 different people, and pay them less than what you were paying Stan Stansky.
And you're not getting a raise for doing it either.
Not going to get a raise. You're getting an entry-level job, son. WWE also lets go of Christina Salen. She was the CFO, and they instilled Frank Riddick III as the new CFO.
Frank Riddick III.
The third. Oh, I'm not the second. I'm the third. He has served on the board of directors for 13 years and actually was the interim CFO in 2020 before they hired Christina Salen. So they got rid of the CFO, despite the fact that they made $256 million and increased it by 15% over last year. They got rid of her, and they installed Frank Riddick III as the new CFO and CAO. The word on the street is not many people liked Salen. They thought she was obtuse and very hard to work for. And so they decided to get rid of her and install somebody who's been around for a while with WWE as a board of directors. So, but that's your big front. I mean, there were other front office, but those were the big ones.
So who's released? Can we get a list of the talent released?
We can. I have the talent released. But before we get to that, there was another news that broke. So in NXT, talent will be released every 6 months if there is no improvement. This is coming directly from Vince and Bruce Pritchard. So,
talk about some pressure to work under.
I know. So is
that just talent or is that everyone?
No, that's talent. That's just talent.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, NXT talent will be released every 6 months if there is. Now, again, this is from the dirt sheets, but apparently it's an email that went to NXT talent to let them know.
Well, I guess we're going to find out in 6 months.
Yeah. So we may have a windfall of NXT talent coming out of WWE and into the indie world. So, but they released some big names this week. I'm going to go with the first couple are kind of the mid card to entry card wrestlers. So
We'll save the shockers for last.
Yeah, we'll save the shockers for last. So Jesse Kamen, Jeet Rama, Zadea Ramir, Trey Baxter, Lindsay Dorado, and Grand Metalik, the Lucha House Party, were released. Now, Grand Metalik may not be a surprise because he did ask for his release. Yeah. So they granted it to him. But Lindsay Dorado was kind of a big, name. But again, it's Vince not knowing what to do with luchadors. This is not a problem. This is a common occurrence in the WWE. Harry Smith, otherwise known as Davey Boy Jr.'s little boy, all grown up.
Now that one's a bit of a shocker.
That was a shocker because apparently the rumor was he was going to be a big focal point for NXT UK.
And I remember he was talked about in the dirt sheets that he was going to AEW, and then because his dad was being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, yep. I think that swayed him.
Yeah. And he
follows us on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, did he? Sweet. It's a big loss.
He's been following us for some time. He's friends with Natalia.
Yeah, it's a big loss. It really is. I mean, he hasn't, outside of his run in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he's been spotty. He's been a couple months in MLW. He was a couple months here, a couple months there. He'd go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I personally would love to see him go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling and wrestle with Lance Archer again. And,
I would like to see a sort of a AEW. I still love him because of his connection to the Hart family.
Yeah.
He's the last of the male Harts.
He is. He absolutely is.
So bring him in as that Hart connection.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wait a second here.
Yeah.
Bring him to AEW.
Yeah.
Have him win the Owen.
That would be good. The Owen Hart Cup. That would be awesome.
How cool would that be? The timing is perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to sign him. Just bring him in for that tournament.
Well,
and let him win.
Yeah, see where it goes from there and maybe sign him after. But that also helps maybe bring Brett along.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that'd be tits. I mean, that would be awesome to see.
The timing is perfect to try and get
over for this. I mean, you're talking about prime time opportunity to really give a connection to the fans with Owen
Have them
Hart
wear pink and black with the Union Jack on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Eva Marie was released only months after being brought in. I can't say I'm not surprised. I think she was brought in initially to help, but drop over Piper Niven. But she showed signs of improvement.
You know what? I've seen clips of her wrestling.
Yeah,
in training, and she's pretty good.
Yeah, she's made a lot of improvements since her first run.
No one's let her do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eva Marie, Orny Loken. So now number 1 and number 2 have both been released.
Wow.
I was never a huge fan. I wasn't like, oh my God, it's Orny Loken, I gotta watch. I mean, he's a good wrestler. He really is. I mean, he's not a bad talent. It's just he doesn't have that it factor, and I think that's what led to his release from WWE. The one that really shocked the hell out of me was B-Fab from Hit Row. She actually just signed a contract extension a month before she was released.
So she's the only female in Hit Row, right?
Yeah, she was the female in Hit Row, B-Fab. I was really shocked. I was really surprised to see her let go because I thought she had a decent. She worked well on the mic. We didn't really get to see her too much wrestling, mostly in NXT, and it was a match here and there. I think she would have been a great mouthpiece for Hit Row. Not that you need them,
No, but having her at ringside,
yeah,
for top dollar or something like would be awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, again, it's Vince doesn't see her getting over. Vince is not going to give her a chance. And that's kind of where you're going to see all of this kind of.
And Vince's ideas are pretty much how it's a spinning a wheel at that time. How I'm feeling at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tomorrow I might feel different. So
yeah. So Frankie Monet, John Morrison's wife, otherwise known as Taya Valkyrie from Impact, was released as well a couple months after being signed. I mean, we're talking 3 months. They hyped her a lot, and then they kind of just let her. They just kind of, got the excitement for, for Frankie Monet.
You almost wonder if she was signed to keep her from AEW.
Very possible, or I mean,
now they have buyer's remorse.
Yeah, and I mean, she's not a horrible wrestler. I liked her in Lucha Underground. I liked her in Impact. She's bigger. She's got more muscle mass on her than your traditional female talent that wrestles at WWE. But she put on some amazing matches in Impact. I mean, absolutely amazing. And she took butt kicking. She took an ass kicking after ass kicking in Lucha Underground. Because they had intergender matches. She really held her own. I mean, very rare did you ever see her not look good. And so John Morrison's wife officially gone from WWE. Ember Moon was released. So after coming back, so she was released, then came back, had a decent run with Shotzi Blackheart, and she was let go. And
what I think they think? I think they think, well, we have who's Field of Glow? What's her name?
Naomi.
Yeah, they feel that Ember Moon is a redundancy because they have her. So I think that's why they're releasing her, because we already got a girl like that.
Here's what shocked me is because you have a company man in the name of Booker T, and he obviously feeds a couple of the guys. One of the guys from Hit Row is from his wrestling academy. She's probably the biggest name that's come out of his wrestling academy. You would have thought that would have meant something, and it wasn't. She didn't have a bad run. I mean, she's not a bad wrestler. She's got amazing talent. Yeah, they kind of screwed it up when they called her up to the main roster, to Raw or SmackDown, and she kind of just languished, if you will. But yeah, I mean, I was really surprised about Ember Moon getting the axe. I mean, it shocked the hell out of me. I was like, why? I mean, she just signed 3 months ago. Nia Jax was also released, The Rock's cousin. Keep in mind that she was on a mental health break.
Yeah, this is huge to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, she was on a mental health break. She has stuff that was going on in her life, and she wanted to take time to kind of fix everything and just get back and reset.
So she had talked to WWE about a return date.
Yeah, actually, it was supposed to be next week.
And so she said, I just need a little bit more time.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden she's on the list.
Yep. She gets axed, and what some stories are leaking that a lot of it had to do with her unvaccinated status. WWE really wants their wrestlers to be vaccinated.
But she also said nothing was said.
Yeah.
About the unvaccinated thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's come out and she's given her side of the story. And I think once you start seeing the 30 and 90 day wait periods end, I think you're going to start hearing a lot more about their side. Because there's always two sides to a story.
But you know what? Their side is so bullshit.
Yeah.
Listen to what they were saying about Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
he's out of shape. No, he was in the best shape of his life.
Yep, absolutely. So the last two big ones are power couples, if you will. Keith Bearcat Lee and Mia Yim were both let go, which is really weird because they really spent some time kind of retooling Keith Lee. I don't know about the Bearcat nickname per se. I don't think it was really.
You almost wonder if it was there to bury him.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. The word was that he wasn't over as much as he thought he was going to be. So Vince just wanted to cut the cord and not deal with it anymore.
Well, it's the writing, starting Keith Lee, start. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, what do you expect?
Yeah. And what makes it worse is, the man the man literally was in such poor health. He could have died. And, they decide that, once he gets healthy and he gets better and he's able to wrestle again, we're just going to get rid of him, and that's a big contract. Supposedly he had one of the higher contracts in NXT. But yeah, so
was he a former football player?
He is a former football player. Yeah.
Who was he with?
I can't remember. Not the Patriots. That's for damn sure. And our last one, Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. They have been released.
So they're a couple. So are they released because they're a couple, or it's just?
Well, the word is they didn't have anything for Scarlett, so they had to let her go. Because she really is not. I mean, I've seen her wrestle. She's not bad, but I'm not buying a ticket to watch Scarlett wrestle. And then Karrion Kross.
She's one of the hotter women, like looks wise.
She's very pretty. She is very gorgeous. But Karrion Kross made no sense whatsoever. And here's the problem. Again, it's sources are saying Vince wasn't convinced that he could be over, and so that's the reason for the release.
He was huge in NXT.
He dominated NXT. He was a 2-time NXT champion. He gets called to the main show, to the main roster, loses to Jeff Hardy in 45 seconds, and then has to wear a helmet.
Yeah, you're screwing the guy from the get-go.
Yeah.
Who's the tag team? Welcome to the Wasteland that was in NXT. They were champions for
the Ascension.
The Ascension.
Yeah.
Amazing tag team.
Yeah.
And you destroy him from the get-go and make him a joke.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean,
I think Vince is out to lunch completely. He doesn't know how to do it anymore. And I think which wrestler was saying that he doesn't have it anymore? Was it John Moxley?
I think so. Yeah,
John Moxley. I think in his books was saying that Vince just doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah,
that he just doesn't know how to create the things he used to be able to create.
Well, he doesn't have resistance either. Vince is notorious for getting rid of people that say no and hiring people that say yes.
And you can't work like that. You can't have yes men. It creates a vacuum.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, out of all the people that got cut, Karrion Kross was the biggest one. I mean, this guy dominated the indie scene. He was over in NXT. They used him properly. They dropped the ball. That's the reason why he didn't get over, and they released him. And again, he's got 90 days now left before he can go anywhere. I think if anybody's suited to go to AEW, it's going to be Karrion Kross. Nothing against Keith Lee, nothing against any of the list names on the list. The one that's built,
Scarlett as well.
Yeah, the one that's built for AEW to go over as a monster character is going to be Karrion Kross, or at this point he'll be known as Killer Kross, which is what his name was on the Indies.
So was he with Impact before, or
he wrestled on Impact for a few months, but he mostly was indie. He did a lot of indie stuff, did a lot of stuff in Japan. He just go to promotion after promotion. He dominate, win championship belts. and then drop him and leave and go to the next city, you know. And I mean, that's where he got discovered, you know, for Killer Cross. You know, Scarlett, when you separated the two, that took away the identity of Karrion Kross, you know, because there's nothing like watching her come out and set up that scene for him to get into his entrance, you know.
Perfect.
And the two of them worked simpatico. Now they are engaged to be married, so they've been dating for a few years. But yeah, I mean, that's to me, that was half the appeal, was her creepiness and how she moved.
Yeah, not having her come up to the main roster with him takes away part of his edge.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, that's the list. I mean, you know, when the news broke, I was not surprised. I was more surprised about the CFO being let go than I was about talent. But there was guys on the talent like Karrion Kross.
Most of our listeners and watchers are going to be more focused on the talent.
Yeah, and realistically, yeah, it makes, you know, again, it's a business that they're running, and they're a publicly traded company. They have to answer to the board of directors. They have to answer to stockholders and shareholders, and that's a huge difference between them and AEW.
There's a rumor going around that a lot of these releases are to cause AEW to become more bloated.
Yes. So let's talk about, because, you know, every fan that's a Lindsay Dorado fan says, oh, he needs to go to AEW. Karrion Kross, oh, he needs to go to AEW. You know, Ember Moon, go to AEW.
Harry Smith, AEW. All these people, we want them.
Yeah, everybody wants to go. Everybody wants their favorite wrestler that's been released to go to AEW. Here's the issue. You have to get to a point where you become oversaturated.
Yeah.
And I think that right now, AEW is oversaturated.
Yeah.
You know, you have a 2-hour show on Wednesday. You have a 1-hour show on Friday that may go to 2 hours. You have Dark Elevation, which are fine, but those are built for, the YouTube shows are built for talent that's not on the main roster. So that's their NXT. It's a place to build storylines and rivalries, but it's a showcase for guys like Serpentico. It's a showcase for, and it was a showcase for Anna Jay,
but for Bear Country,
you know, Rebel. I mean, that was a place to showcase their talent so that they can get enough steam behind them to go and wrestle on Dynamite or to wrestle on Rampage, you know. But when you're not doing a pay-per-view every month, when you only have 3 hours of wrestling a week on live TV, with the roster that they have, they're oversaturated. It's a sponge full of water.
First, they need to get that 4th hour for Rampage.
I agree. Yeah.
They need that 4th hour just because of their roster size.
Yeah.
They need to get those other 3 matches in. Next, I think they need to make some cuts.
I agree. I totally agree. And the problem is it's not going to be low-level guys. I think you're going to see some top talent are going to get let go. You know, like, for example, and I'm going to get hate for this, but I'm sticking with it. I think if it all goes down, Miro gets released.
Whoa.
You know, yeah, I think the problem with Miro,
he's in the main event.
I know,
but he's in the tournament final.
Here's the thing. I love Miro, and I think what he's doing in AEW is 1,000 times better than what he was doing in WWE. I think they misused him in WWE. They didn't misuse him in NXT. He was a monster in NXT. They kind of relegated him to the U.S. title aspect. He really wasn't in the thought process to be a heavyweight, their universal or their world champion. And yeah, he's a TNT champion, but with the exception of being in this at Full Gear to you know, against Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, who we know is going to most likely win, I don't see him in the title shot. And people aren't tuning in to watch Miro. And don't get me wrong, he's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
But Miro, I think, gets cut. I think he gets let go by AEW.
Logically, maybe you're right. Logically.
Yeah.
But they're bringing in his wife. They're
Yeah.
signing his wife.
Yeah.
And she's probably going to be at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. You know, I think
So,
another big name that
really
goes is going to be the Bunny. I think she's built for WWE. You know, the problem with the women's division.
If you're getting rid of the Bunny, you're getting rid of the Blade.
No, because they'll stay. You know, I mean, as much as it pains me to say, they're not a collective. You know, I see Butcher and I see the Blade, and they're part of the Hardy front office. I just don't see.
You know what I think? I think most of the Hardy front office are possibly gone.
Most of them surprise me.
What are they? The H2 or whatever? TH2.
Yeah, TH2.
Could see them gone.
Yeah.
Janela hasn't been on TV. Sonny Kiss.
Has he even been on Dark or Dark
No,
Elevation?
not since the last match with Sonny Kiss, where they you're looking at TH2, you're looking at a lot of the front, like you gotta make cuts, and the Butcher and the Blade even, I think could
I think Butcher and the Blade stay because they have a real connection with the fans. You know, it's easy to say that the lower card talent is going to get knocked out and released, like you know, Serpentico, Luther, you know, Peter Avalon. Although I don't think Peter Avalon.
Like the thing with them is like you can leave them on Dark anyways.
Yeah.
So I think not the lower level. You're looking at more the mid.
Yeah. You know, I think one of them is Miro, and I think the Bunny. If anybody's built to leave AEW and go directly to WWE without missing a beat, it is in fact the Bunny. I think she's perfect.
And I think Penelope Cruz is ahead of her in the pecking order.
Yeah.
Because she's a little bit of a better wrestler.
A little bit, yes. But, you know, the women's division, I mean, you know, when you're looking at this talent that just got released,
if you're looking at bringing in Ember Moon, you're gonna have to make some tough choices with the women.
I mean, you're gonna have to. I mean, if there's one thing that's really lacking in AEW right now, it's the women's division.
But therefore, you could keep a lot of the women who are part of it. So
you could and move them into Dark and Dark Elevation and really give them a platform. But I think there's going to be a lot of tough decisions because one big name is still floating out there, and that's Wyndham Rotunda. You know, the likelihood is he's going to sign with AEW. Now, what does that do? You know, you have CM Punk, Brian,
and you also have guys like Bo Dallas.
Yeah, you have Wyndham Rotunda. You have Malachi Black. You have a lot of top tier, big name talent. You can't, you know, unless they plan on doing another show on Mondays, which very well could happen. You know, you have a lot of talent with not a lot of space, and at some point you have to start cutting the fat. Yeah. You know, I mean, Tony Khan may have billions upon billions of dollars, but there's one thing I learned: rich people don't spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
and they don't spend it on themselves, and they don't spend it on their businesses. You know, and it's a sad truth, but you know how you stay rich by not spending your money.
And that's Lance Archer a candidate too.
Yeah. I mean, Lance Archer could very easily go. And to be honest with you, you know, John Moxley, I don't know. I mean, with rehab, you know, without the rehab situation going on, you know, he's not really been huge. You know, there's not been a big focal point on John Moxley.
And Brian Cage, as much as I love him.
Yeah, Brian Cage could easily go.
He's to the back he's on the back burner too.
Yeah.
I would love him to be at the main event. But he's a potential to and WWE would sign him like that.
Yeah. He's built for WWE. He's a big, huge guy, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, we'd love to hear on Twitter and on YouTube your comments on Facebook as well. What do you think?
What if you just went and released a lot of the indie guys.
Yeah.
Like Bear Country and all these guys that are, what if they just got rid of the lower card guys?
Yeah.
And made Dark and Dark Elevation special.
I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense in terms of a talent situation, but they're not making a lot of money off of Dark and Dark Elevation. Yeah, but more eyes on Dark. I'd watch more Dark and Dark Elevation if they had bigger names.
Yeah, if they had Kia, like the buy-in with Suzuki and Brian.
Yeah,
that was on YouTube, and it got a lot of views.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, with AEW, the privately owned, nobody, despite these people on Twitter and Facebook who said, "Oh, I know their books and I know their financials." We don't know financially whether they're running in the red or they're running in the black. We don't know. And to
like
be honest with you, we probably will never
team, you got to be like, okay, who do I, if you're just like a hockey team, I got to sign my first free agent.
Yeah.
Or, I got to release this guy. He's signed of his contract.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because they can't go on forever.
Yeah. I mean, I'll use an old writing and editing term, and that is this. Sometimes you got to kill the little darlings. You have a shot that you absolutely love, but it just doesn't fit in the edit of the film. You have a great character or a great plot in a script, and it you want it there because it's so cool, but it doesn't make sense for the rest of the story. You got to kill those little darlings, and that's what's going to happen. Tony Khan is going to have to make those decisions.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be fantastic because I guarantee you there's going to be an
exodus.
That's
a show right there about all the cuts that AEW makes.
Yeah, one day we'll do a news where it's we'll talk about the cuts of AEW because it's coming, guys. It's not going to be anytime later.
And it could just be someone's not re-signed after their contract is over.
That's true. Yep. All right. Well, guys, I had a great time. I loved spending time talking about the news, and we did spend a lot of time on WWE. But go ahead and comment Facebook, Twitter. Go ahead and comment live on YouTube. Let us know your thoughts about the cuts. Talk about The Rock. We talked about Jon Moxley. We talked about The Blade, and we talked about Eddie Kingston, Ring of Honor. We talked about a lot of stuff. So give us your thoughts. And always, if you can like and subscribe on iTunes or Spotify, leave your comments. Let us know what you think. You can find us on all our social media at effingwrestling.com. That is our website. It's the one
at the bottom of the homepage.
Huh?
It's at the bottom of the homepage.
Yeah, you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, which is not a big homepage. You go down to the very bottom, it's got all the links. So you can like and subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. Hell, we might even start doing TikTok and Twitch because we're in the 21st or 22nd century, yo, we're straight up, we're gangster. So on that, Canada Dry, have you heard from Hulk Hogan recently?
You know what? I just want to take a break from Hulk Hogan for a week. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to, Instead, I want to plug Wrestling with the Paranormal tonight.
Let's do it.
We are talking about time splits.
Yeah.
And things that are from another era popping up in our era.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly how often this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So tune in tonight at 7:00 Pacific, 10:00 Eastern.
Yeah.
And should be a good show. Yeah. On that note, Canada Dry out.